You guys feeling good? You guys feeling fucking great?
I'm feeling fuzzed out.
Yeah, man. You guys ready to do another fucking week of this craziness?
Another week.
Come up together. I fucking love it. You're in the Church of Chill. This is the Come Up. Rad. Spark one up. It's fucking Monday.
Let's come higher than ever this week.
Yeah. Oh, that's really good. We should. That's a good intention.
I feel like that's what Monday is. Like, you have intentions, you scrub off the weekend, you hit the ground running.
Yeah.
You're patient with yourself.
Yeah. You know what I'm thinking about on this Monday is telling better stories.
Yeah. It's a good.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, start the week like that. Tell better stories. Like, it really, for me, it always starts at home. We've talked about this before where, like, I mean, Cass doesn't do this as much, but I think you do. But, like, where you're cursing yourself, where you're fucking calling yourself a piece of shit, you're calling yourself names, you're frustrated, all that stuff. I just want to start telling better stories about who I am, how I connect to people, and I think that then it starts to apply to the larger narrative of your life.
Absolutely. Telling better stories about yourself and the people close to you as well.
What's today's story? What's the story of Monday, March 8th?
Yeah. What is the story of Monday, March 8th? Let's come up with a great one.
I mean, I think it's the beginning to the best week ever, on the best day ever.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to be a broken record with that, but it's totally true.
Cass is here to remind you every day that it's the best day ever.
It's kind of like Mowgli. I always tell that to people. He's impossible to be depressed around because it is his favorite day every day. It's like a puppy quality, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
And then you feel like you're fucking his shit up if you're upset, you know?
Yeah.
He's carrying all the weight for you. It's like, I'm excited. Are you going to arrive here to be excited with me today?
Yeah. There's a level of accountability when you look at Cass's bright face every day. You're like, oh, like, this isn't for the show. She really does think this is the best day ever. She really does. She's so excited.
Yeah.
And every song, that's the best. The songs come on. She's like, this is my fucking favorite song ever.
It's true.
I love that. I love it. A level of enthusiasm about things. Because, like, what we're doing is we're training ourselves and we're training our muscles and we're training that fucking wild, out of control Jack Russell Terrier that's tearing everything apart in our head. We're training it to fucking calm down a little bit so we can enjoy the moment.
Absolutely.
So let's get on the same page, you know?
Yeah.
How do we do that? Let's fucking, let's take a breath together and make a sound together. We like to do the Om, but we can always switch that up. We'll do an Om today.
Mm-hmm.
I have some other ones in my back pocket we'll pull out maybe later this week.
Okay.
But let's do a good, nice, long one where you really fill up your whole belly with air and you push the sound out until you can't push it out anymore, until you feel the buzzing on the end of your lips. That's how you know it's working. So, pushing all the air out. Big breath in. Fucker. We tied.
I was like squirting some out towards the end to try to just keep up, but
it's all about
more
that.
Sound than breath.
It's all about the initial breath in, because that's what you're going to be able to handle pushing out. And, you know, we talk about that all the time in our life, the in-breath. The in-breath. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. It comes in the form of not only a physical in-breath, but like, it can be in the form of retreating or resting, or like it's just as important as going, you know, and that's why weekends have become so valuable. And that's why they're so important for people to like have that time where they're like, I'm not responding to emails, I'm resting. And that's something that we need to not lose is capitalism takes the wheel and wants us to be productive 100% of the time.
Yeah, but productivity, like that idea that like everyone's hypnotized by that. And I think it's a positive thing, but for that to be the controlling narrative is your productivity and your self-judgment and self-doubt comes in because of that. It's like, let's change the core value of what we're doing. Are we expressing ourselves? Are we expressing ourselves right? Are we tuning this temple so we can receive more?
Yeah. I remember when I started vocal training, and you think a lot of the focus is on the out breaths, but actually there's a huge hurdle in the beginning to letting your inhale happen, because you think as a singer, because you do need to expand your ribs like a dragon, right? That you're taking air, but the second you do that, it actually locks your chest muscles and it will tighten your throat and you can't sing anymore. So there's a whole yogic practice of like, oh, I have to let air come into my body. And similar to trying to unpack my dog's anxiety with not being able to see the floor at night and not trusting that like Gaia's going to hold him, it is, I feel like, another trust thing that like your body's going to do it, and you and the thing that it's taking outside of itself are going to merge together,
Right.
Yeah.
in an appropriate dance.
Yeah.
And not a mistrust of like, I got to grab it.
It's so funny having Mowgli around, and like this reminder, this talisman. I never noticed that behavior. It cracks me up, but it also breaks my heart in a way. Like I see him in the kitchen, and he'll stop like he's on the ledge of a cliff, and you figured out what it is. Like you're like, oh, he can't see the floor, so he's not trusting that it's there, and it's like, whoa, is that symbolic?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
It's very deep and symbolic.
Yeah.
Very deep and symbolic. Yeah. Dogs have issues. They have their own issues and problems.
Mm-hmm.
They have much better memories than people think they have. I remember walking Mowgli in Soho when we used to live in Soho, and we used to pass this club that had one of those red velvet ropes outside of it. And one of our walks, it got knocked over. Like there was a bodyguard outside and it fell on him. Didn't even like hurt him, it just like terrified the shit out of him because it came from nowhere. And now he just won't walk on that road. Every time we go near it, he remembers. And he's like,
Hey, you gotta
fuck
be-
that rope that's trying to get me.
You gotta be
whatever
careful. I dropped when I was walking my dogs when I was younger. The door dropped on my dog Max at the time, and he like every time he would go through that door for the rest of his life, he'd like skittle through it, so because he doesn't want to be hurt. And I think it's just a good reminder that people have that too.
Oh,
and I
yeah.
think we can tell stories that like try to say like, oh, I don't get worked up when I, see the color blue. But the truth is, when you see the color blue, like something happens to your body that kind of overrides different things.
Yeah, it happens a lot with heartbreak. Like you'll put on a song and you'll see someone's mood change, and you're like, oh no, I just triggered something. And all that is very similar to what Mowgli is doing, very similar to the animal instinct, is like, we've been hurt, so we want to protect ourselves from those things. So the ego goes to work building walls around our heart like a fortress to protect this motherfucker because it's so sensitive.
Totally.
And the best thing you can do is really start to listen and see where people have been hurt, where their triggers are, how you can help, how you can learn to navigate in a softer way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and with people, I feel like what's so fascinating is that the way the patterns get ingrained seems archetypal, because the way that we shut things out seems to be on this weird archetypal fulcrum. Like the whole daddy issues thing is real. You meet people and you're like, oh, you like have a hard time being the father of your own life because you have a hard time with that role. It's fascinating, and you see it in people, and the same thing with a mom. And there's many more archetypes in the father and the mother, but they're obviously the most prominent and obvious ones usually.
Yeah, so much of, and I didn't realize this till well into my 30s, but so much of who I became was a reaction to the form of love I got from my dad, the lack of love I got from him, how scared he made me. The whole dance I ended up doing with him, it actually made me an independent motherfucker, because the place I was supposed to be getting like in waves of unconditional love, like that person was fucked up and they hadn't gotten it. So it wasn't really coming to me necessarily, but I trusted that it was there. So I don't know, I established this way of going about things that was like really like fucking go for it, felt like ambitious. I was probably just trying to get my dad's attention, by making art and making movies and getting all these fucking girls.
Yeah. That whole phrase, like, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, number one, I don't think is true. But it also is insinuating or assuming that you're taking the right things from bad situations. And I think most of the time that's not actually what's happening and not true,
I love that. We're like, that positive story you were telling yourself? Maybe not true. Good morning. It's Monday.
It's the truth.
I mean, I think that's prominent to what the come up's gonna be. Is like, we're figuring this out, but there's gonna be, at our best, we're no bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it really is a reflection of a true come up, and that's how I want it to be. Like you when you take the acid or you take the cup of Daime or whatever, that moment where you're like, fuck, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going to happen. But I'm with my homies and it's going to be okay because we don't know what the fuck is going on. We don't know what's going to happen, but we're together. We're trying to fucking form a little bit of a vibe tribe.
Yeah. I don't like back to the reactionary thing is so interesting that you said too, because I don't think any of us realize how much of our personality is reactionary.
Oh my God. Yeah.
You know,
pay attention to that.
Especially like I've talked about pendulum swings maybe on a different podcast of ours, but I think so much with like young girls growing up now and having this aversion to like what, you know, the extreme gender role in society. It obviously makes sense because they're too extreme and very oppressive, but there's also like a pendulum swing of like, okay, I'm gonna have an aversion to like everything that means.
Yeah.
Right. And I think at least personally in my journey there's a little bit of coming home to like, oh, it's not all of it. It just feels like that because it was like boxed and labeled in this trauma you know, house that I built for myself. And
yeah. You don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater is what I'm trying to say.
It's important, and you see people do that, and like, fuck. I mean, I've felt that when we met you. Like, I'm like, man, I had really thrown the baby out with the bathwater in a lot of ways, and in terms of just not even being able to be open to something like what we're doing, this dance we're doing. So yeah, I'm glad. Let people fucking affect you like that. Let people fucking tear down those walls. Let people come in like the wrecking ball and just fucking tear down the fortress around your heart.
Yeah, fuck me up.
Fuck me up. Yeah, totally.
Man, when we were listening, we were doing a deep dive into the fuzz realm this weekend, and we haven't seen live music in a long time, so having like being confronted, you put on headphones and you listen to metal and you're just like confronted with it. There is really like a tearing down of the fortress because you just like have this structure and then you just like get hit with a wall of sound that all of a sudden it just like it penetrates it. Did you guys feel that?
Oh my God. Yeah. I could really feel that like there's a confrontational energy to it. And I think that's the barrier to entry with that kind of music. I think that's why a lot of people are like, no, that ain't for me. But if you give it a second,
it feels like it's just like hearing the sound that's already existing inside of me, and the resonance is really comforting. I don't necessarily have like a barrier of entry where I'm like, this is uncomfortable and I have to get through it. It's kind of like, oh fuck yeah, finally, yeah, that's it. That's what I'm hearing. Yeah. Give it to me.
My hesitation to even play that stuff around you when we first were hanging out was like it felt too low frequency. I thought you were going to judge the musical quality of the whole thing, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, and you totally can. You could be like, what the fuck? This is the same power chord over and over. To me, that doesn't fucking matter. Is it effective in eliciting the emotion? And holy fuck, is it? You know, and not only eliciting the emotion, but just bringing you into a realm where all these darker, you know, more raw, more real, truthful emotions are on tap.
Totally. Yeah, for me, I guess it's not the resistance to it. It's like I can't hear my thoughts through. Like it's an overtaking.
Yeah.
It's like
consuming.
It's all consuming.
Yeah, man.
That's what it is for me. It's like it demands not only like my attention or something, but like that I just like surrender. It's like surrender to me, and I'm like, yeah, I love you.
It's like demands your attention and your emotions. Like you're definitely like, there's no other feeling than whatever you're being presented. Yeah. There's no ambiguity really to it.
The first time I was really confronted with this in a live music setting, I was 16. I had just moved down to Florida, and the Melvins were playing at the State Theater, and I was like, I have to go see the fucking Melvins. And this was like when I first got my license and could go to a show on my own. And man, but the second they came out and hit the first notes, and it's still to this day is the loudest show I ever saw. I was in like fight or flight mode the whole time, like where you're almost panicked because like my chest hurt. I was like, is my heart beating right? Like the music was that overtaking. It was like going through. It was fucking unreal loud. But it forced me to kind of let go a little bit, and that shit fucking wormed its way into my life ever since. That was like fucking more than half my life ago, and this is still like sacred music to me.
Yeah, you haven't been able to hear right ever since. So.
No, it's just a little ringing, a little fuzz. There's a little angel fuzz in my ears all the time.
Yeah, it's interesting that it's taken me so long to fall in love with that. I was telling Sean this, Cass, but not you. Like, if somebody had told me what I was going to be doing with music last year, this year, there's no way that I would have believed you. I would have been like, I need what you're smoking. And it's interesting because it feels like the last part of the universe that I didn't love, or that I was like trying to keep at an arm's length, and therefore like the last part of myself that I was trying to keep at an arm's length. But because it's the last, it feels like I now love it the most because I haven't been loving it.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's kind of what it feels like.
What part of you is this that's like being unearthed?
It just feels less presentational, I guess. It just feels like deeper.
Yeah.
And I think because my
Rawr.
whole story has been like, you're not allowed to have feelings.
Mm-hmm.
It's taken me this long to be like, oh, I can go all the way with my feelings. And that's actually my superpower. And that's what I'm I'm put here to do, is to feel things strongly. And I don't have to like run from that. And I don't have to like restrain it like I talk about all the time, whatever. There's actually like space where I can go out and just fucking let it happen.
You take the guitar and you're like, I'm all feelings.
Oh my God. We come out in the morning and she's blasting Black Sabbath on the headphones, and I'm like, "What the fuck? We've created a goddamn monster here." But it's so my instinct too. Like it's so how I want to start the day. Like that's like a fucking shot of adrenaline to the fucking heart.
Yeah, well, Volume 4 was remastered, so that's basically taken over our entire psyche.
Black Sabbath Volume 4, the 2021 remaster, is very special on headphones.
Well, it's Monday morning. Tap into your emotions.
Tell a better story.
Tell a better story.
Let's tell a better story.
Have a great week, great day. We'll see you tomorrow, right, babies?
We're here for you.
Here for you.
Peace, love, and magic.